Now let's turn to the war in Ukraine and the latest diplomatic response. EU leaders have agreed to cut 90% of Russian oil imports by the end of the year. That deal includes a compromise with Hungary, which opposed a full embargo. Still, this is some of the toughest action taken yet by the bloc, and officials say it could have a serious impact on Moscow's ability to fund its invasion of Ukraine. EU leaders are meeting again this morning in Brussels for a second day of talks. Rosie Burchard joins us once again in Brussels, tracking the story for us today. So, Rosie, tell us a bit more about this EU ban on Russian oil.
Michael, it was a difficult deal to broker. It took 4 weeks of technical talks among EU ambassadors, 8 hours of EU leaders debating locked in a room here in Brussels at the summit, and a virtual address from President Zelensky, or perhaps rather a virtual dressing down. But the political deal has finally been done. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen announced this. She emerged seemingly victorious from these talks. I was there as she addressed the press at this midnight press conference here in Brussels. Let's take a listen to what she had to say.
I'm very glad that the leaders were able to agree in principle on the 6 sanctions package. This is very important. Thanks to this, Council should now be able to finalize a ban on almost 90% of all Russian oil imports by the end of the year. This is an important step forward.
But, Michael, what she's not telling you there is that this is, in fact, a major compromise. And it's a compromise catering to landlocked countries, including Hungary, who had opposed this deal. Hungary is heavily reliant on Russia for its energy supplies. And it says that this sanctions, without the concessions that it secured, would have been too harmful for its economy. Now, what are those concessions? Essentially, this will be a ban on seaborne imports of Russian oil. However, imports which come via pipeline can continue to flow for now at least. Some call this a compromise. Others say that the EU leaders have caved in essentially to Budapest's demands. However, there is many diplomats saying this is really a credible concern from Budapest, given that high level of reliance. However, Michael, Ukraine says this does not go far enough. Kiev wants to see tougher sanctions still. It would like EU leaders to look into an embargo not only on Russian oil, this partial embargo they've managed to secure now, but also on Russian gas. That's something on which, for now at least, there is simply no consensus among EU leaders moving forward.
Now, the talks do continue today, Rosie. What's next for the EU leaders?
Today, it is all about food security. The United Nations has warned that the conflict in Ukraine is threatening tens of millions of people around the world with hunger and malnutrition, and millions of tons of grain are trapped inside Ukraine. Now, European Union leaders and countries are trying to find a way to get that grain out. Well, alternative export routes via the EU through land, rail and river. It will not be an easy task to manage. They've been in talks this morning virtually with Chairperson of the African Union, Macky Sall, to try and find out how to better cooperate on this. This is something Canada is also trying to contribute to in terms of these efforts to get that grain out through the G7.
Rosie, thank you for this. Rosie Burchard in Brussels.